In this video, we'll talk about how you can find percent of a number other than 100. Percent means out of 100, but you can find the percent of other numbers too. So if you want to find 50% of a number, you just find half of it. And I'm just going to show you a strategy that will help you to visualize what it means to be a percent of a number. Now in this case we've got 24%. What is 24% of 42? And you hopefully will recall that this little word here indicates multiplying. So we're finding a percent of something we multiply. Now one little strategy you can use to estimate your answer is to draw a visual. Now just imagine that this is the whole thing. Whatever the whole is, 24% is going to be, it's going to look the same, whether this whole represents 42 or whether it represents 100. Let's imagine for a minute that it represents 100. And how much would 24% of 100 be? Well, 24% is about 25%. It's about a quarter. So when we look at this square and we want to find 24% of it, we just want to find a quarter of it. So this would be half here, so a quarter would be over here. So I'll just shade in what I think a quarter would be. So if the whole was 100, if the whole part was 100, this would represent 24% of it, approximately. But let's now change this whole thing and make it 42. What number does this represent now? How many little squares are shaded in now if this whole thing is 42? Well, it's going to be quite a bit less than 42. Half of it would have been 21. So this much of it, a quarter of it, is going to be approximately 10. So 24% of 42 is approximately 10. So that's our estimate, 10. So our whole is 42. We're finding a part of that. Now, we can't multiply a percent times a whole number. We have to change that percent to a decimal. So let's change it to a decimal. So 24% is the same as 24 hundredths. And as a decimal, that's equivalent to 0.24 hundredths. Now we can multiply. When we multiply decimals, one way to do it is just to leave the decimals out and multiply the numbers. 4 times 2 is 8, 4 times 4 is 16, 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 4 is 8. I can add those up. 8, 6, 4, 10, 8, 9, 10. Now I estimated my answer to be 10. I've got 1008, so I'm pretty confident that my decimal place is going to go between here, so that my answer will be 10 and 8 hundredths. So if this whole thing was 42, this part here, the 24%, is 10 and 8 hundredths. So that seems reasonable when I do it like that, when I have this visual representing the whole part. So another example here, what's 8% of 120? Okay, again, doesn't matter if this whole represents 100 or 120, the percent of it is going to be the same. The percent of it's going to look the same. So if I was going to do 8% of this, and it's representing 100, well, let me think. 8 is around 10%. So if I was going to find a tenth of this, I'd find a half, and then I'd divide that into 5. And then I'd have something like this over here. This would be about 8% of this whole. Now, if the whole is 120, what do you think this shaded area represents? I'm going to think again that we're somewhere around 10. So I'm going to estimate 10. Okay, now let's calculate it. Let's change 8% into a decimal. Let's multiply that decimal times the whole. We can do it without the decimal places. 8 times 0 is 0. 8 times 2 is 16. 8 times 1 plus 1 is 9. Haha, I estimated 10, and so my decimal place is going to go there. The other way you can do that, if you do use the decimal, you'll remember in the question, You just see that there's 2 decimal places, so there has to be 2 decimal places in the answer. So my answer is 9 and 60/100ths, or 9 and 6/10ths. So this yellow, if this whole is 120, this yellow shaded area is 9 and 6/10ths. One more quick example. We have to find 17% of 8. Okay, now this whole is no longer 100. Now this whole thing, this whole square is 8. But again, it would look the same. This percent would look the same if it was 100 or 1,000 or a million. The percent of it looks the same. So 17%. Let's see what that would look like. So 17%, around 20 or a fifth. So if I could divide this into fifths, it would probably be something like this. Okay, the shaded part would be about 17%. Now, so if this is 8, this shaded part, I don't know, what would you say? It would probably be around 1 or 2. Let's say it's 2. It looks a little bit bigger than 1. If this was 8. So let's do the calculation. Again, we're going to multiply 17 times 8, 56, carry the 5, 13. I estimated around 2, so I know my decimal place has to go right in there, 1 and 36/100ths. So this represents 1 and 36/100ths if the whole is 8. So just remember, this is just a way to help you estimate it. It's just a visual representation of what a percent looks like. And then convert the percent to a decimal, multiply it, put the decimal place back in based on your estimate or based on the number of decimal places if that's the way you do it, and you have your result.